Marshall Levenson, Rivals National Recruiting Analyst, and I'm joined by Rivals National Recruiting Director, Adam Gorney. Adam, monumental news tonight as five-star receiver Dakorien Moore announces he's decommitting from LSU. Obviously, big news being at the top of the ranks. He's the number one wide receiver in the country. Just kind of give me your initial reaction to Moore decommitting from LSU, and kind of where do you see things going from here?
Yeah, the biggest decommitment so far of the 2025 class, number 4 player in the country, and could actually make an argument to go higher in the rankings. He's been so phenomenal this offseason, had a tremendous junior year, and definitely a little surprising. A few weeks after the NFL draft, where LSU had 2 first-round wide receiver picks and a quarterback taken in the first round, he seemed very excited to play for Bryce Underwood, the 5-star quarterback, to play with Harlem Berry, the 5-star running back, with his former teammate, Caden Durham. But all along, he had been very interested in Ohio State, Oregon, Texas. He will be in Eugene this weekend, that's expected at least. So, it wasn't a complete shock that Moore backed off of his pledge. He made it early. But the trends were kind of leaning toward him sticking with LSU, especially as he talked it up so much.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's not necessarily a surprise that it happened because this has been kind of an idea pondered for a while. Another thing that does make it interesting, though, is how many times he reaffirmed his commitment to LSU. I mean, it was just a month ago at OT7 that he told me 1,000% committed to LSU and talked about the relationship with Cortez Hankton, and like you said, the wide receiver production there. They had a future at quarterback. Looking at some other schools that are in it, like you said, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, where do you see them? Do you have a ranking for them, or how do you see this playing out? Weeks, months. Could this go to signing day? How do you see these kind of 3 teams battling out? Because it looks like maybe LSU is out of the race, at least for right now.
Yeah, at least for right now, and we'll see how Brian Kelly sort of revisits it. And Cortez Hankton will be kind of the man to get him back into the class, and they can make an argument as the best wide receiver production school in the country. I mean, you go down the list just in the last few years of guys. We're not only talking Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, but we're talking Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, down the line of guys that LSU has produced, and kind of guys that play like him, fast, athletic on the outside, can stretch the field, make plays, all those kinds of things. Texas obviously is the school closest to home. Dakorien is definitely close with his mom. An NIL factor could certainly play into that. And it's an offense that really fits him as well. Xavier Worthy's probably a little bit faster, but Dakorien Moore is definitely a better football player as a receiver and as a playmaker when the ball is in the air. So I would say Texas probably has the slight lead. We'll see after this Oregon trip. A lot of kids go up to Oregon and immediately fall in love with it. Now that Dan Lanning has sort of reaffirmed that he's staying there, Junior Adams is going to pitch all of the receivers that he's developed over the years, Cooper Kupp being one of them, but a lot of other guys. Cooper Perry is in this class, and that's going to be a big draw there. And then Ohio State. I'm not going to count out Ohio State ever for a wide receiver, just because of the production that they've had and will have over the next 2 or 3 years at that position as well. So I think those 3 schools are the mainstays now, but I guarantee you Dakorien's phone is blowing up now. I would be shocked if Georgia and many other schools across the South, USC and many others that have developed receivers over the years, aren't at least going to take a swing at this and see where it goes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if in his decommitment post, he said that he's not going to be considering any new recruiting offers, but it'll be interesting to see who kind of swings back around of who's already been in the picture here and there. Obviously, all of those schools being high production schools at the wide receiver position. What is your opinion on timeline? Obviously, there's no way to know, but do you think this is one that gets brought to signing day, or do you think he maybe has an idea in mind of some of these official visits coming up, of how he wants to shape this thing? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't get the sense that this is like a flip situation, like he's going to go to Oregon and commit this weekend. Now, I could certainly be wrong, and there could be a lot of things going on there, but I just don't get that sense. I think he's going to play it out a little bit longer. He's going to see who kind of ponies up along the way, and he's going to kind of see how it all plays out during the season. A lot of receivers want Brian Hartline to stay at Ohio State. If he gets the sense that he's leaving, maybe Ohio State doesn't score as high later on. I don't get the sense that he's going to flip. I think Bryce Underwood and Harlan Berry and a lot of those guys in LSU's class are going to still work on him. Brian Kelly and Cortez Hankton are not going to give up. Sark and Chris Jackson at Texas and Junior Adams at Dan Lanning at Oregon. But, he is such a talented wide receiver. He's the number one receiver, but he's in a lot of ways, he's totally different than J.J. Smith, the number one receiver last year, who was just this massive physical presence who had speed and also playmaking ability. I would say in terms of playmaking ability, Dakorien Moore is better. He has, just that insane ranginess and athleticism that he makes almost impossible catches. I remember at OT7 last summer, he made like 3 one-handed touchdown catches all in a row in the end zone. He does that all the time. He makes it look easy. So I doubt that all the major powers across the country are going to respect that he's only looking at 2 or 3 schools. Now they're going to take a shot here, and I wouldn't be surprised if that visit schedule gets expanded, not contracted in the next couple months.
Oh, thank you, Adam. Like you said, probably the biggest decommitment of this class so far. So it's going to be, maybe the most intriguing recruitment, to finish out the 2025 class, however long it may take. So thank you for joining me. And, this will be an exciting one to follow.
Definitely.